Yo, what up? Welcome to another episode of the Oakland Warriors podcast. I'm Patrick, and the Warriors, they lost a tough one to the Boston Celtics. Both Steph and Jason Tatum went off, but ultimately, I guess the Celtics had a little bit more. First off, I just want to continue something that I was talking about in the last episode about Juan Toscano-Anderson. The dude took a dive over press road for a loose ball and bashed his head, got some stitches, and that's exactly why you want to sign this dude. I was saying before that for all that he brings to a team, and if he can get his three-point shooting to stay above 35 to maybe 38% realistically, he's going to make a lot of money. He's going to be super valuable, and the Warriors should definitely keep him. He's a dude that does all the little things. For the most part, he makes the right decision, and he doesn't need the ball. You know, he's a good passer. He's a willing passer. And, you know, even though he only played 25 minutes and left early, I mean, they could have used him towards the end of the game, but he had the highest plus minus, plus 14 on the Warriors, and 2 for 3, 6 boards, 4 assists, 1 steal. That's not bad, you know, for a guy that you don't have to worry about him needing or wanting touches. So love that dude earlier in the season, and even part of last season, when I would see him out there on the court, I would always say that the game looked too fast for him. He looked like one of those dudes that the NBA speed, he was never going to be able to catch up to it. But clearly he has, and that is due to his own work ethic, clearly, and just getting reps, you know, and that's literally what it is. He has the physical tools. If you watch that dude's high school mixtape, there's one out there. He's athletic, you know, he's athletic enough, and he definitely belongs. So in general, this makes me feel good about James Wiseman once he starts getting more reps next season. Juan Toscano-Anderson, that dude needs to be on the team next year. My friend Aram in Toronto says he kind of reminds him of Matt Barnes. And I'm like, yeah, Matt Barnes, but potentially with a better three-point shot. I'll take that for sure. This game was actually really, really fun. I said a couple weeks ago that what you want from this squad is you'll take a loss, you'll take a tough loss, but you want them to compete. And ever since James Wiseman got hurt, which is a super bummer and has kind of changed the complexion of the season, at least for someone like me, you just want to see the Warriors go for it. You want to see Steph go off every game. You want to see them make the play-in round. You want to see them make the playoffs, because now that you don't have to thread the needle in terms of development, it's like, screw it. Just go for it. Let's see how far Steph can take this in terms of building his legend, building his legacy, how his greatness can lift this team. I really felt like they could have and they should have won this game tonight, but it was so close. The fact that it was a tough loss, I'll take a tough loss over a blowout loss any day. This team seems to be competing. They seem to be having a little bit more of an identity, which is basically just, okay, it's Steph and Draymond and that's it. Let's just go. You know, no more like, okay, let's try to involve Wiseman. Don't get me wrong, I would much rather have Wiseman out there and see if he can develop, but he's not. He's recovering from meniscus surgery, and we won't know anything else until September. Yeah. Another thing, it looks like Gary Payton II has passed Nico Mannion on the depth chart. He played 7 minutes. Nico Mannion got a DNP, so that's something to keep an eye on. I obviously am still on Nico Mannion Island and think that he is part of the team's future, especially going into the off season, playing some summer league, getting into next season, really getting used to NBA speed and all that stuff. He also would benefit greatly from a full professional off season. But yeah, you know, I think Peyton would be really helpful on the stretch run, helpful in the playoffs, or at least the play-in round, just as a guy who could play defense. He has a decently well-rounded game for someone who's been a journeyman, but his defense in the playoffs is what you're going to need when Jordan Poole can't really do what you need him to, or when Nico Mannion won't be able to. And especially right now that Kelly Oubre is sidelined still. Oubre didn't play, thought he was going to. We'll see if he plays against the Sixers. The Sixers game's going to be tough, especially if you don't have Juan Toscano-Anderson, if Oubre sits again, and if Steph, who tweaked his ankle, if he has to sit out as well. Steph tweaked his ankle in that game. And then towards the end of the game, Tatum got fouled in the final minute and then ran into Curry and kind of made Curry land on his ankle a little bit awkwardly again. So that probably didn't help either. But, we'll see. I hope Steph plays. I mean, this season, these final handful of games, this is all about him putting on a show, regardless of what happens. And you just want to get your money's worth for that. My favorite thing about the season was honestly seeing James Wiseman and seeing how he would develop, because we've never had a big man. And now, the focus is fully on Steph, which is kind of awesome too. We'll see how that all goes. I still think that the Warriors are going to make the play-in round. We'll see. It really, really sucks that they don't have that extra person to, this is when you miss Klay Thompson, right? Obviously, the Celtics were missing Jaylen Brown, but this is a game where you just miss that other guy where Steph can just count on him to score. I mean, Wiggins had 22 on 8 for 15, and he played 41 minutes, Wiggins had a pretty good game. But just seeing Klay and Steph out there this would have been a fun game if everybody was healthy. Jaylen Brown, Klay Thompson, all that stuff. But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, that's another episode of the Oakland Warriors podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Feel free to hit me up on Twitter at Patrick Epino, Epino, or at Oakland Warriors. Check us out at oaklandwarriors.com, and be sure to tell your fellow Warrior fan friends to subscribe and listen. The Oakland Warriors podcast is produced by National Film Society. That's it. Music in this episode provided by Paper Sun. Special thanks to Paul Amardo for production support. See you next time.